Thank you for having me. This is my first conference in video games, so I'm kind of happy to be here. I don't have a background in video game studies. I'm a historian of science and technology, but I picked up this interest a few years back, and I was very much interested to see the interactions of how the technology and scientific progress is actually implemented in video games. And for this talk, I chose 5 games where I see the interesting intertwining between technology and the environment in this dystopian, or maybe sometimes like in case of Subnautica, kind of a utopian, dystopian setting. So in the realm of video games, few teams have as much as cultural, let's say, resonance today as the environmental collapse and the role of technology, of course. So as we grapple with the real world issues that we had a chance from the table top games people to see, like climate change, my personal expertise, the resource depletion, and the technological overreach. Many games have this already explored these themes through their narratives, through world building, and the gameplay mechanics. So the first game that I want to address is this Horizon Zero Dawn. So in the setting of premise, we are presented with this post-apocalyptic world where there's very advanced technology and that has given the rise to these robotic creatures, while the human civilization is kind of reduced to the tribalism. So the environment collapse in this world game stems from the technology going bonkers. So the environmental theme that follows this game is the world around the player is very lush with this nature, where the nature is reclaiming these old ruins. So it kind of shows how the earth regenerates and it will continue existing after humans disappear. However, the game also warns the humanity's destructive influence, with machines becoming a looming threat as they are your enemies in the game. And the technology in this game is also used very interestingly, because the collapse was triggered by the rogue AI that controlled these self-replicating machines. Designed, it's always about military use, so it's a thing here as well. So this kind of highlights dangers of unchecked AI. And the automation, which kind of draws some parallels to present-day concerns about the AI governance and weaponized tech. The next game, my personal favorite, is The Last of Us Part 2, especially because how environment is represented in this game. So the setting and premise of this game is the remnants of human society, so still are struggling to survive in this world ravaged by the pandemic of a fungus. So it has nearly wiped out the humanity. So the environmental collapse in this game puts the game's environment as one where the nature and the remnants of the civilizations are kind of entangled with each other. And we are presented with this overgrown cities and wild animals that are roaming the streets, symbolizing the world where nature again started to take over. For me, the interesting thing about the second part of The Last of Us is how they are addressing the technology use inside the game. So while the technology is largely in decline in this world, the game kind of still serves as a warning about the consequences of humanity's exploitation of the environment, and the pandemic that destroyed the civilization is also some kind of a metaphor for nature's unpredictability, as we saw in 2020, and how human interface can lead to catastrophic results. I personally am very much impressed how they utilize the Seraphites and their kind of a two-faced role and attitudes towards technology. While their declining usage of technology, they only use it for destruction, which also kind of bears warning and the message. for the players. The next example of very interesting intertwining of technology and the environment is the Fallout series. So, as we already know, the setting and premise in Fallout series is set in this post-nuclear apocalypse America, where the Earth has been already ravaged by the atomic war, and society kind of clings to life through these small settlements and vaults. But the world is more or less barren wasteland, so there's no this lush environment like in previous two games. So the environmental collapse in Fallout world kind of explores the world where the technological advancement has not only failed to prevent the disaster, but has actively caused it. So this nuclear devastation has transformed once thriving ecosystems into a radioactive wasteland where mutated creatures dominate. And many players kind of complain, especially in Fallout 3, how it's very depressive. I think it should be depressive because that is the message of the game. And Fallout series also have this technological satire. I would call it satire because the game critiques this retro-futuristic obsessions with nuclear energy and technology, highlighting the naivety of believing that the progress alone could prevent the repair of environmental degradation, and instead technology kind of leads to resource wars and ultimately the global ruin. And it's the message of humanity clashing and having a final stand on an oil rig is very interesting, at least to me as a resource energy historian. The next example is Subnautica. It's not necessarily a dystopian video game, but I kind of liked, and I chose this game because how it kind of presents the intertwining between the human and the environment technology, because the setting and premise of the Subnautica is set on this alien ocean planet where the player must survive after the crash landing. So the game kind of features this exploration-based narrative where the environmental management is very much a key to survival of the player. So it kind of raises this environmental awareness where the game places a strong emphasis on the delicate balance of the ecosystems that you are encountering as a player, and player must be mindful of resources and exploitation of those. So this can have consequences for their survival. So this kind of mirrors the real world concerns about the marine ecosystems and the threat of overfishing and pollution, which is a very big concern of today. And kind of the background of the game is like this struggle of technology versus nature. So while the player uses technology to survive and explore, the game theme is kind of that the technology can be both things. It can protect and harm. So there's a constant tension between the exploiting the planet's resources and maintaining the balance of the alien ecosystem that you are encountering. And my final example is the Death Stranding. The setting and premise of this game is in the world that has been devastated by this kind of a supernatural events called Death Stranding. But it kind of puts the strong emphasis on this environmental collapse, in my opinion. So it kind of leads to this societal breakdown and isolation that defines life in this game. Interestingly, the game came out right before the 2020 pandemic, so it kind of coincided with this, which was very interesting, and it's a very interesting topic to explore on the internet, how the players reacted on the game's premise during the pandemic. So in this game, environmental and societal collapse are kind of intertwined together, and they go hand by hand. So the game kind of depicts this future where there's this natural laws have been wrapped and humanity is on the verge of extinction. So the world is kind of plagued by this invisible deadly phenomena that erases the life and creates the uninhabitable environment. But like the game flashes this big idea, which is not novel, I mean, but it kind of goes to this cyclical nature of like maybe my kind of flashing of dyings of the civilizations and borning of the new ones. But the technology that's depleted, that's flashed in this game, kind of brings this kind of a dichotomy of technology serving both humanity as a lifeline and in some ways serves also as a prison in this Death Stranding event. So these high-tech tools that enable the survival and the communication of the player, but they are also there to remind the players how fragile civilization has become and how everything can be wiped out pretty fast. So the game kind of explores these consequences of isolation and over-reliance on technology for social connectivity. And kind of it echoes these concerns about the modern digital life and growing disconnect from nature. I think that the end of the message of the game is like kind of a gloomy, I think, in my personal opinion, that like whatever we do, we're gonna go extinct eventually. So whatever we do, it's kind of a pointless. But if we do something that the World Climate Game suggests, we're not gonna go extinct as fast. So those are my my conclusions. So in conclusion, I won't bother you too much. Like these games kind of exemplify how video games can be and serve as a powerful kind of reflections on environmental collapse and technology. They kind of also roll out this technology's role in process, and they offer visions of these possible futures. Some are hopeful, some are dire, but they all remind us how the delicate balance we must maintain between the technological progress and the environmental stewardship. So players are not just to be entertained in these games, they are also prompted to think about these real world implications and the narratives that we engage with in these games. And in the end, I also think that these games also inspire us to question the path forward, to consider what kind of a future we want to shape. And yeah, that's it. Thank you.